Hi and welcome to a weekly outlook. Haven't done one of these for a while, so got a few moments when the market's a little bit quiet at the moment and decided to get back into the rhythm. So Monday mornings, and it's a weekly outlook, looking at the euro dollar to start things rolling, looking at a weekly picture here. And well, the previous week we broke that trend line that was sitting on the weeklies on the euro. That was fully confirmed last week with another decent sizable push up there. Now, looking at this picture with the weekly 200 pretty close by, you would expect that there's a reasonable chance of us getting up towards that area. Of course, we still have the prior highs there just above where price is at the moment, which may just stall things. But to me, it looks like any opportunity and any break of last week's high, any significant break there, would see us pushing up towards that weekly 200. So it's at least a potential there. I'm just going to come out one time frame more and look at this monthly picture, because they've got the monthly 50 sitting, I think it's not too far away from the same sort of level. But that's sitting at 1889, so there is a potential for that to push up to that sort of level. There's nothing really actually. Oops, come back to the weekly for a moment. 1889, 1795, so it's about 90 pips. So if it does run through that weekly 200, where you can see there's certainly a target to the upside. Shorter term, just looking at this dailies, I've got the weekly pivots on here. I am expecting that weekly pivot, and that weekly pivot to be hit. Of course, the probability is always good. Is currently below price, but that in itself may give a buy point on a further move up. We'll see how that rolls out, and if it works itself out. Often hit Monday, Tuesday of the week. We'll see if it can. It's a bit of a, as I say, I expect a quieter market at the moment, with the school holidays started in proper in the UK, and Europe, I think, nearly going, or Europe is in. France is certainly into their annual monthly shutdown for a lot of businesses, so it does go quiet. Anyway, we'll see. So there's the expectation. If it comes to the downside down the dailies, I'm looking at that weekly pivot as a possible bounce area. If it breaks that, well, then we start moving back down, and we'll have a new monthly pivot coming in. Well, it's actually next week now, isn't it? So the new monthly pivot, but so that'll be out of zone for now though. But we haven't even come back to the daily 21 for quite some time. So a break of that sort of weekly pivot, the 8 may give a target down there, but at the moment it looks pretty bullish and strong on this move that we're seeing up here on the dailies. Just looking at the sort of momentum, how things are pulling away here. The momentum's pretty strong on the MACD here as well. Signal line going up, all looks rather sound for that, as I say, further push up, potentially once it's hit that weekly pivot, maybe before. Cable, let's have a look at the bigger picture first. In fact, let's come right out to the monthly picture on cable and see where we're sitting here. And you can see, well, it's gradually since the last few months, it started picking back up here, and well, the monthly 21 could be on again at 33.91. Let's go back to the weeklies now. And you've got this weekly 100 may be a target above. It's a slow curling sort of rounded bottom that's sort of here, with the higher lows coming in on this weekly chart, and gradually higher highs, and we pushed in a new high last week, even though it did close down towards the end of the week. But it's starting to push again at the moment, and again, more of a bullish feel to this market than anything else. Coming down to the dailies then, and you're seeing what patterns appearing here, and it did diverge into that effectively into those new highs at the end of the previous week. Last week, well, it did, again, there was a bit of divergence kicking in that time as well. Where we're sitting at the moment, well, it's looking quite strong. It's already through its weekly pivot, above its weekly pivot, and it does look like, well, it's got the potential to push up on this time frame. And the other time frames, well, there's the potential. Now it's got still got here, just drawing in roughly, there's an inverted head and shoulders that still kicks across there. We haven't broken that right hand shoulder, so potentially it's still in play, and that could give quite a bit more of a kicker to the upside, yet at least moving to where the current R1 is, and coming, oops, sorry, beg your pardon, going the wrong way, coming back out a little bit maybe. The depth of that movement, well, could move us halfway towards that 100 anyway in terms of target. Okay, dollar yen. So dollar yen weekly wise, it's seen some consolidation, and it put in last week a pivot swing, which is just potentially further downside. We're heading back towards that weekly 50, which up until now has held it on the last two attempts pretty well. Be interesting to see if it plays off again and holds the lows again as we run through this month. Certainly edging down at the moment from this bigger picture that's just come out to the monthly for a moment. Just want a quick look on the monthly and just see where we are here. Okay, so this is in the current month, and it is looking like it could put in a monthly shooting star. Now, still, as I say, got quite a bit of time to come there, but erring on these bigger time frames to the downside. And when we come down then to the dailies themselves, what we can see here, yes, we've got a weekly pivot above us, so any rallies, I'd be looking at that as a potential. Then last week we missed the weekly pivot altogether because it sold off quite early. Actually on the Tuesday it sold off. At the moment this looks quite strong for the downside, maybe down towards that monthly S1 and beyond. Certainly looks strong to the downside at the moment, certainly breaking lower. Okay, that's the dollar yen. Let's have a look at the Aussie dollar. And again, well, this is certainly the strongest of some of the pairings here. It's done well from the commodities point of view, and it's pushing up towards that weekly 200. Thought it might have done it last week, actually came up short in the end, pushing up pretty well at the moment. It's just come out and look at the monthlies here. You see there's a monthly 200 just is fighting it, banging back into at the moment. I think it air kissed it last time, but it's just running into that. It's got that monthly 50 that runs over the highs there, which again may provide some resistance. First real test of it. If it breaks beyond that area, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets a break beyond that 50. It may even get a bigger kicker going through. And get a bit of a acceleration, but from the dailies it had been accelerating into the previous week. Last week it continued that, although stalled at the end of the week, which is probably not surprising after we've seen, but at the moment it's pushing up strongly here, and as I say, really it looks best for the buy side at the moment. Canadian dollar, another one that's done well from commodities, particularly done well on some of the results it's been showing as well, with the interest rate increase through the month. There was this monthly pivot swing which has been followed through this month so far. That from a monthly perspective, that 50 MA looks like a possible target. We're broke, or just on breaking those prior lows there now, and it's sort of a breaker that may give it even more of a kicker to the downside here. So it is looking very bullish at the moment to the downside. I say bullish to the downside, it seems like an odd thing, but I'm looking at the US dollar stroke Canadian dollar. Bullish for the Canadian dollar here on its way down. Bearish in terms of the US dollar. So it's as I say, got some targets there, weekly 200. And then when you look at what's going on here, I was looking at it the smaller and the shorter time frames, it's almost teasing us into trades. But the best thing is to be waiting. If you're looking to get into a short, maybe the weekly pivot if it does get back to that, would give us a opportunity to short into. So that's the Canadian dollar. That's just been asked to look at a couple of other markets, and I will just look at firstly, I'll just look at gold rather. I can get the words the right way around. And gold here. Well, spot gold. Let's just pop the bigger picture on there. There we go. So at the moment, it's in this month, it's looking a little bit more bullish. It's in the overall picture's consolidated on a monthly, and it's been pinched into this wedge sort of pattern at the moment. When you come down to the weeklies here, though, it's well, let's put a weekly pivot swing in. Looking last week, looking pretty bullish at the moment again, and this all fits in with more dollar weakness. Now we have got the weekly pivot below us, which is a possible retrace point. If it gets back to that, that could just see us, or give us opportunities maybe to buy into it as a possibility. We'll watch it. It's first just literally touched its monthly pivot as I'm talking here, but it is looking bullish. Certainly broken the downward trend that we had from these prior lows here, and it's properly bullish at the moment. But it's looking good. As I said, if it does pull back, maybe we see some sort of correction at some point, and a pull back to that weekly pivot may be such an entry. Okay, I will look at oil. It's a difficult one in terms of well, there are difficult in terms of the meeting going on in Russia today. From a monthly perspective, we really haven't gone too far. We're sort of sitting in this $50 range roughly. We could, I mean, put in a hammer last week. It's closed above the bands there. It could be it's trying to shape something up, but every time it does, I mean, look, it's left this weekly shooting star into 21. It looks iffy to me, as to put it bluntly. And again, we've got a daily pivot swing that was finished off on Sunday evening, so that's looking weak as well at the moment. That said, there is, in the short term, there's a weekly pivot above which may just draw it, but and as I said, the great unknown about what will come out from this meeting today in Russia. Okay, and finally the FTSE. If I can find the FTSE on my little list here. Now, one thing I'd say about the FTSE, and it goes for all the markets, the VIX is currently at lows last seen back in 2006. So we really are sitting at sort of potential points of a significant move one way or the other, maybe a significant correction, we'll see. But at the moment, things are tightening up on the VIX, which, as I say, may be reflected across the equity markets in total. This week, okay, we started the week off poorly. Let's just have a look at the monthly picture at the moment. And well, last month it was pretty obviously a downward bar there, and if it closed within that monthly pivot, maybe you've got more downside to come from that monthly picture there. Weekly wise, you look here, so far it sort of looks like it's putting a lower high in. Any break of these recent lows here, about 34 moving average, would probably confirm a lower high and further downside potential. As I say, it does look a bit weak as we're leading into this week, and it's already putting in a daily pivot swing, although there's plenty of today to go yet. That may change a little bit yet. That's pretty much it there. There is potential breakdown of a trend. There's certainly a trend line sitting across these dailies, across the lows here, which is actually just breaking through at the moment. So it's ticked off the weekly pivot. It's, as I say, got potential further downside here, maybe getting some bond buying coming through, which hence the move up on the pound at the moment. But this does look currently weak here, and if it closes anything like this, we may see some continuation through this week, maybe back towards that daily 200 even at some point. Okay, that's pretty much it for me on this. Now I'm going to look at the fundamentals and data that's coming out this week, because we've got some data coming out. I just need to pause this for a second. Okay, sorry, just had to pause for a moment and reopen my data for this week and looking at the calendar. So we've already had a flash PMI and services data coming through from France and Germany. German figures weren't particularly, they come below expectations, and so part of the French did as well. Overall, the overall figures below expectations for Europe as a whole, but the French and German data is considered the most important there. Beyond that, then this week, really got to wait until Wednesday and we start getting some proper data. I say proper data, but some more solid data. Aussie-wise, we've got the inflation figure in at 2:30 in the morning on Wednesday. That would be potentially quite a key mover. Also, at 4 o'clock that day, we've got the Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Lowe speaking. That generally gives a bit of a kicker. So that's Wednesday, certainly for the Aussie dollar, has got some potential there. For the UK, then we got on Wednesday as well, we got the preliminary GDP. Watch out for movements happening early on. It's due to be coming out at 9:30. We've been seeing data from the Office of National Statistics appearingly to be, it is given out earlier, but it looks like it's given out and being used earlier by some people, and it's often working sort of 30 minutes before the event anywhere. Well, up to 30 minutes before the event, so watch out post 9 o'clock for the leaks. Okay, from then onwards, talking of leaks, we've got crude oil inventories at 3:30 on the Wednesday, and more importantly, the on Wednesday evening we've got the FOMC statement and federal funds rate. Now it's all expected to be left alone. Janet Yellen isn't speaking at this event, so there's unlikely to be anything in terms of comments, or there certainly won't be any speech made by Janet Yellen, but the statements may have a bit more of a differing effect on it. We'll see, because inflation's still not kicking up to where they would like it, and we'll see how that comes through. So that's, as I say, 7 o'clock on the Wednesday. All of the speakers at the moment aren't allowed to speak. All the members, should I say, aren't allowed to speak, so we won't have any pre-comments coming from them. Okay, then we lead through the rest of Thursday into Thursday and Friday. Well, Friday we've got the US advanced GDP coming out there. So the one on from the UK on the Wednesday and on Friday are the key numbers really from that perspective in terms of GDP. I'm just looking, the Canadian GDP comes out every month. There's nothing else there of significance really that will really get the markets moving, apart of course from the, as I say, the Wednesday Fed funds rate, and the statement may just have something in it that's a bit bearish. That's it for me. Have a great week ahead, and I'll be back next week. Bye.